Hello everyone, I'm hoping you all had a fantastic 4th. I apologize if at some point during this little video segment I start hacking out of control. I've been to the weather with a nasty sore throat. See, there it is. So I apologize for that, if that happens, which it likely will. We're going to talk about the group advocacy speech. And by now you've all handed in your topics, which is very exciting. I will be going this morning and I'll be uploading it to the Dropbox. Like I've said in the past, and this should be noted in all the assignment descriptions, this is a speech about advocating. And advocating simply means standing for somebody or giving a voice to someone who may not have a voice. Great speeches I've heard in the past have some people will say we need to advocate for cancer patients to have better care, or we need to advocate for people who have Crohn's disease, or children is a big one. And sometimes students will just give a topic of bullying. That's my topic, bullying. But you need a group or what organization you're really wanting to stand up for. Bullying is not standing up for a group or an organization. It's just standing up for the sake of the topic. And that's not what this is about, because our speeches tend to be very informative. Just informing us, this is what bullying is, this is what it, that can be a part of our group speech. The part is showing the reasons why we need to stand up for these groups. So let's take children of divorce. Why we need to stand up for this research, which is what you're doing this week with the group annotated bibliography. This research tells us that this, and this tend to be effective worse. So what you're really doing is giving reasons why we need to stand up for a group, number one. And then how do we do that? Your audience stand up for that group or stand up for that cause. Save the whales. Here's the reasons we have. So you can do a little informing. But then this is how you can. You can donate to this website, or you can spend your time with this, or you can simply recycle, or there's so many options. But what we want to do is make sure. I once had a group, instead of going into how to advocate for people with a certain disease, I think it was Parkinson's, they spent the entire speech just telling me what Parkinson's was, and it was an advocacy speech. It was just telling me about, which was helpful for me, but it was informative. So what you're really doing is standing up. And when I go through your topics, I often will comment and say, hey, this would be better if we kind of looked at it from this angle. Or I'll ask you, what group are you trying to stand up for? Or what cause are you trying to stand up for? Hopefully that makes a little bit more sense. In regards to the actual speech, people really like this speech because it doesn't require video. So I don't have to see your pretty faces. I just hear your audio. And how this typically works best, and students sometimes choose to do PowerPoint, I think probably the easiest. Sometimes students choose to do Prezi, which Prezi can look fantastic. I'll say I think it takes a lot more time. But if you want to do Prezi, more power to you. With the PowerPoint and the Prezi, you basically are going to just give your speech with the use of that tool. So with a PowerPoint, some each take a slide. Sometimes students will take numerous slides. But what I think is the best way is if you split up your speech into mini theses. So if I use children of divorce, maybe the first one is children of divorce suffer emotional effects. Then I would do all the research on that. And I would only find one research article, because the annotated bibliography assignment only requires 3. And there are, let's say, 3 or 4 of you in a group. I'll only need to find one article. My annotated bibliography, that's due this week, super easy. So this week, you'll each find 1 article, 3 articles to add to your speech. They have to be a speech. Now let's see if a 4th person, maybe your 4th person gets out of the annotated bibliography assignment, maybe they help, but then maybe they're the person that does the introduction and conclusion on your speech. But back to the PowerPoint. So let's say there's an introduction. Maybe I'm the person who didn't do the research, so I'm going to do an intro and a conclusion. My intro and conclusion slides, maybe they have thesis and mini theses. Maybe they have graphics. I have had some amazing speeches, especially in PowerPoint, that have used so many cool pictures and images. And you know what? If your speech you feel is going to be most effective by just pasting text on the slides, that's up to you. We give you a lot of flex with this speech because it's kind of a new thing. It's using technology and it's using an online course to do a group speech. So it's interesting. But however you feel it's going to look best, please do that. I personally think it's kind of cool when there are pictures to help explain your main points. But then let's say you're the first person, so mini thesis 1, and you're going to follow the exact structure that the persuasive speech followed. You fill out the group outline, exactly how it will be. And if I'm mini 1, I'm going to fill that all out. I'm going to send it to another person. Then they're going to fill in mini thesis 2. Then I'm going to send it to the third person. They're going to thesis 3. Somebody will fill in the intro and the conclusion. Then you guys all have to look at it and say, hey, is this good? Or hey, did we not use the right supporting type here? And then you'll all submit the same file. It's the same with the group speech. You'll all take turns pasting it into a PowerPoint. Your audio, so I'll record my portion of the speech. I can record it into a computer, a file, but that file does need to get pasted into the PowerPoint, okay? Now some students will make it, some students are really good with PowerPoint and some of them may not be so. It's new to you. So what I always recommend groups do is if you have somebody who says, hey, I'm pretty comfortable with PowerPoint, maybe that person is the key person that everyone sends their stuff to. They send their audio file and they send their slides, or they, basically get their stuff to them, and then that one person sort of coordinates it all together and sends it out. Now here's a huge, huge thing. I've had it before where I get the final video, or I get their final, not video, no video this round. I get the final presentation, PowerPoint, and I start clicking through it, and none of the audio works. I can't grade a speech with no audio because it's not even really a speech then. So what I highly recommend is when the speech is fully complete, when it's done, you email it out to everyone. And you say, everyone check to make sure the audio works. Now, like I said, you don't have to have it start from the beginning. I can press play and it will play all the way through for me. Some people do that, and that's awesome. But if you want, I can click through. I can click play on the audio. I can click to the next slide. I'm perfectly capable of doing that. So it does not need to be this perfectly fluid video, seeming like a video, because the ones that play from start to finish seem like a video. I can simply click through it. It doesn't need to be that complex. But you do each need to have a video and some slides in there. The other thing is the video that you may use. So if you find relevant videos from YouTube, I had a speech on sex slaves and the problem here in America, and they had an amazing video that was to the speech. It was fantastic. It was a story of a mom talking about her daughter who she had regained contact with after she went into the sex, which is just, it was really heart-wrenching, but super effective. And it was a very long video, but like the assignment description says, you're only allowed 3 minutes. So they simply said, hey, Katie, watch, or put in parentheses under the video link, and you can just put the link in the PowerPoint. Watch from this 2 minutes to 5 minutes. And I did, and that was that 3 minutes, and that worked towards their total. But like I said, it would be extremely complex. People like this assignment because they get to record their audio. They don't have to acquire an audience. I'll record that audio and paste it into the PowerPoint. But be thinking about transitions, because remember on the rubric, and this speech is graded with the rubric again. Now, obviously, I can't grade yours. I can't say, oh, your body's shifting back and forth. I won't be able to see that. So it's kind of nice because you get those. But you do have to follow the structure, the internal review. So restating that mini thesis, the internal preview, stating the mini thesis before you go to it. So I would, before even recording, make sure that your outline is done and your speech is complete, and then you guys all record your audio and send it to that one person that's going to be able to just put it all together, because that's not a terrible lot of work. Now, one thing I do remind everyone is that the following week we do a peer evaluation. So you get to evaluate your group members. If somebody put little to no effort in, then you give them a grade, and then that impacts their participation points. And if somebody's being a rock star, you give them a 5 out of 5. It requires rating the file to me. So I get to know exactly what goes on, because I don't know. And what I always tell students with this group speech, at the end of the day, it's your responsibility to get this done. And if that means picking up slack, maybe for somebody who is not the right amount of effort, just kind of what you have to do. And that's probably what you guys have experienced in other group settings. And like I said, that person will be docked during that evaluation assessment if they didn't put any effort forth. And that stinks. Sometimes that really does stink to have to pick up the pace. And I've done group assignments. I know how frustrating they can be. The one thing I can say is work hard and work early. Work early because when we communicate and can kind of schedule and plan to get things done early, if things pop up, if things happen, it gives us space to just kind of make up for it. So that's always my recommendation. I understand that you probably have a very way how you do this course by now, that you answer your questions on this day and you hand in stuff on this day, because that's what. And now we have a group assignment that throws other people into the mix, and you kind of have to be flexible. Well, maybe I could work on that day and I can help on this day, or I need to check my email more often. But I am constantly blown away by speeches, the groups. So I'm really excited for what you guys are going to do. If you have absolutely any questions at any time, even if you're having problems with group members, things like that, always email me, because I like to stay in the loop. And as long as you're communicating, working early, I think this speech will be a really, really positive thing for everybody. So I hope you have a fantastic week. And as always, email me with any questions or concerns. Okay, bye guys.